Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the next installment of TikTok Summer Songwriting Series. Very excited today to be here. We have the artist, obviously, Melanie Martinez, artist and songwriter, and we have Michael Keenan, who's been her executive producer throughout her two big album releases and has been with her every step of her career. I am Bill Wordy. I am the director of the Bandier program for the recording and entertainment industries at Syracuse University. And this whole experience is part of a program with After School All-Stars, an absolutely amazing organization that works with students in under-resourced communities to give them every opportunity that they deserve and every opportunity they need. So today, in addition to speaking to all of your fans, Melanie and Michael, we're also gonna be talking to some great students who are really looking forward to the wisdom you have to share, the insights you have to share, and probably some fun stories about some of the hit songs that we all know extremely well, especially if we are paying attention to TikTok at all. And of course we all are. So welcome.
Thank you. This is exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very excited to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So let's get right started. I mean, Playdate right now is one of the biggest songs on TikTok, which is one of the biggest platforms in music anywhere. So ergo, you have one of the biggest songs in the world in Playdate, as far as I'm concerned. When you were setting about making this song, did you have any understanding that it was, I mean, you included this as a bonus track on your first album.
Yeah, it says a lot. I mean,
it doesn't sound to me like you thought this was going to be the single to end all singles.
No, honestly, it was the biggest surprise ever, especially, 5 years later. It's like so unexpected, but I'm super grateful that people connect with it and resonate with it right now. It's one of my favorite songs, and me and Mikey have always loved it, but yeah, we felt like story-wise it belonged more as a bonus track on Crybaby than on the standard album.
It's so pretty, and it has such a unique sound. I think like a lot of your music, you get classified as sort of like alt pop sometimes, which is one of these designations. Do you know what that means when people call you alt pop? Do you have a...
We talk about this all the time. Like, genre doesn't really exist for us. Like, we are influenced by a lot of things when we make music. Like, sometimes we like having elements of all types of different genres. So it's kind of like this mashup and mix of everything that we've ever really been influenced by, I think, in our lives, and what we think sounds good in the moment. So
everything's supposed to be a little bit genre bending and blended,
Yeah.
So that's actually, we have some questions from students that may come in as we talk. One of the questions from students, and you sort of just touched on this, so I'll check in with you about it. Zenaria Jackman from New Jersey asks, when you're writing a song, where do you start? So maybe we can pick this song and check in on that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, well, Playdate, it was written 5 years ago, so it's quite a long time ago, but I think that every single time I've ever written a song, I always start with the title. It's the most important thing for me to have a clear concept of what it is that I'm trying to say as far as the story goes. So it has to be very clear from beginning to end. And I can be a little like too critical on myself with that sometimes. And sometimes I'll take it a little too literal and try to tell the story as best as I can. And lately I've been trying to open up more and kind of create multiple meanings for one theme, so it still fits within the world, but it also has multiple other layers that other people can resonate and connect with. With Playdate, it was, I hadn't really ever experienced that dynamic yet, like a superficial connection, because I was so young when I wrote it, but it was kind of like foreshadowing the experiences that I would have later on in my life, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, as far as like other songs go, I'll just have a list of like 70 to 80 titles, and I'll just we'll be working. It's just kind of overwhelming, to be honest, but we'll just find chords first. Mikey will, bring out the MIDI keyboard usually, or we'll go on the piano or guitar, whatever we're feeling. And then we'll find chords. Sometimes we'll base it off of a voice memo. So I have like a long list of voice memos that I'll just randomly, while I'm walking in the street or just showering or whatever, I'll just make a voice memo, and then I'll bring it into the studio later on, and we'll listen to them, and we'll see which ones compel us to write a song. And sometimes we'll move on it and we don't end up liking it, and then we end up just scrapping everything and saying, you know what, let's just find chords, we like a different instrument that inspires us, and let's just start from scratch and not be afraid to try a new idea. So it's all so dependent on the day really that we're having.
Yeah, there's so many forms of inspiration. Like it could just be an idea that pops into your head, or it could be a sound that we find that's just random and interesting sounding. Like there's no like one answer, but
it sounds like part of the process of songwriting for you both is being very open to inspiration and documenting it as it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's never a wrong time to grab your iPhone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The iPhone voice memos is one of the greatest tools that we all have.
Yeah.
Honestly, like every person that I know in the music industry at some point or another is using that app to make their ideas happen.
Yeah, I think the Notes app is like the new Tin Pan Alley of the music industry. It's great.
It is.
Yeah, it's true.
It's funny too, because like something about the quality of the way it sounds is desirable sometimes. So I'll even just put my iPhone over at the piano and that'll be like my recording medium. I won't set up really nice microphones and really expensive gear. I'll just, airdrop the recording from voice memos of the piano over to Pro Tools and then start working on it.
So I want to ask, because we're talking about songwriting and we're talking about composition and really kind of going from the beginning to the end of a song, with Playdate, Mikey, what was your earliest memory of Playdate in any context?
Well, so Playdate was originally an idea that Mel thought of with our friend Jen DeSilvio. So it came to me almost as like a last minute thing, because I had done the other few songs on the Crybaby project, and then this one came to me and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I really want to work on this. So it was just the vocal with some interesting piano thing. Jen can play piano really well. So it was like this classical piano almost sounding thing. And the first thing that I did was find that main instrument that kind of, I can even pull it up and show you real quick. The main instrument that was in Playdate is, it sounds like.
Do you want to play the demo first?
Oh yeah, true.
So
I have the demo.
this is what he was sent. So this is what me and Jen sent him over to Mikey originally.
Yep. So 1 second.
You call me on the telephone, you feel so far away. You tell me to come over, there's some games you wanna play. I'm walking to your house, nobody's home, just me and you and me alone. We're just playing hide and seek, it's getting hard to breathe.
So you can already kind of hear like the bounce is already there and like the feeling's already there, but we grabbed, let's see, the main instrument. This is what really started the inspiration for me for going, was this thing. So that was the main instrument that started it all for me. I just thought that sound was so cool and interesting and unique.
And how did you come across that?
So it was a sound in Omnisphere, which I can also pull up. Just give me 1 second, because it's an old session and it likes to act real funky. So if you look at the session here, Omnisphere is pulling up, which is a pretty common program. So what it is, it's a combination of this thing, the plastic Stratocaster, and I'm not going to try to read that, but this guitar instrument. And those are the two sounds that make up that sound. And it's just right here with an Omnisphere, which I'm sure probably most people who have Omnisphere could pull up.
Very cool. Very cool. So is this, Mikey, once you get your hands on a song, do you do most of your work in this?
Yes, I work mainly in Pro Tools. I started in a program called Reason, which I no longer use anymore. I use it like occasionally, but pretty much everything now is just within Pro Tools.
Okay, excellent. Listen, I want to ask Melanie, I want to take a step back now for both of you. When we're talking to students, obviously, I think such a big part of these conversations is helping them understand what different paths can look like, what different paths forward can look like. And I think these students, and frankly, most people listening, they take a lot of inspiration from your stories and the stories of other artists who've been able to kind of break out of the pack a little bit and find some footing as an artist. Can you talk just a little bit about maybe each of you lessons that you take away from your earliest days? Maybe there's a key decision that you did or didn't make. Maybe there's a key moment that, you know, could have gone either way, but it was really important that you did this thing.
Yeah, I think everyone's path is different. You're so right with that. Me and Mikey's path was so completely different. So the fact that we even crossed paths is so, you know, I mean, it seems so unlikely, you know, but it, you know, it's very interesting for me. Like the way that I started was when I was younger, I was super into just writing poetry. So I was kind of like a writer prior to really making songs or anything like that. I didn't really write any music, but then I started to learn how to play guitar, and I taught myself how to play guitar just by looking up like YouTube tutorials and chord diagrams. Even when we, you know, make music now, I mean, Mikey's just like still learning how to play guitar too. And he has like a chord diagram book that we'll just like pull out and just try to find cool chords to, like.
This is the book.
Yeah.
This is how I translate piano chords into guitar chords.
Yeah. So I started with guitar and then just started to write music, would mix my poetry with playing guitar and find melodies that would make sense with what I was writing. And then as, you know, I started to go along, I just started to write my own music and post videos on YouTube. And then I auditioned for The Voice randomly. My parents saw this like open call listed online, and they took me to Manhattan. I almost didn't make it. My car like broke down on the way and stuff too. So it was a very interesting experience. But and at the end of the day, you know, I don't think it's for everyone to go on singing shows. I think that they're primarily for people who want, you know, like who need exposure for their music if they already have music out or something like that. But since I was a songwriter, and first and foremost, I'll always be a writer, it was really difficult for me to be on a show where I had to sing other people's songs. So that's just one like tip for anyone who's a songwriter and you know, is looking for a path to have their music be heard. I wouldn't personally recommend going on a singing show. I would just recommend continuing to write music and to build up your catalog and to just put out music, whether it's on SoundCloud or however, really. And
I have to say,
yeah.
I'm gonna come back to Mikey in just a second. I have to say, I love the story that you almost missed your ability to audition for The Voice because your family's car broke down. Yeah.
I had to catch a cab. A really nice woman like stopped her cab for me and my mom, and we made it. So
what
stars align.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. I don't know.
Well, I guess the more challenging, right? The more challenges, the more it feels like you really accomplished something when you finally get your moment. What role, Melanie, did music play for you as a young woman? I mean, you say you were a writer and then that turned into songs. Like, what role did it fill for you as a kid?
I just loved all creative art forms. So I loved painting, I loved photography, I loved writing poetry, I loved singing, I loved dancing. So music was kind of like the base for everything. Ever since I was a really young kid, my dad would play a lot of like whether it was old school like R&B or hip hop or even like the Beatles or the Bee Gees. Like he was into so many different influences, and that kind of in turn influenced me to love music and have an appreciation for music and to always be singing and wanting to just really listen to music any moment I could. So I think he was my biggest influence as far as like what got me really invested in music as an art form. But yeah, I don't know, like as time went on, I just kind of felt like it was my passion and my purpose in life and just stuck with it.
And Mikey, what about your start? When did you first realize that music was something that you wanted to do, and how did you turn it into something that you could do?
I mean, it's an interesting story because I started out in like, you know, school bands. Like I started as a drummer. I was a percussionist. And my mom really made me do a lot with that because she saw the talent early. Even though I kicked and screamed, she would drive me 45 minutes like each way to lessons and ensembles that were out of state for me to just be able to grow and develop those skills. And I absolutely hated it. And to be honest with you, I applied to be a photographer for college, and through that process, like realized that I didn't know what I was doing. And then a friend of mine's older brother gave me a music program, and that was the moment where I was like, and that program was Reason, by the way. That's why I still kind of use it from time to time, because it's my original program. But that program was the light switch turning on of, oh, I can like be an entire band, and like I don't have to just be a drummer in a band, or I don't have to play classical music in a classical band or whatever. And that's kind of where, for me, like I was like, oh my God, this is what I can do, because now I can work on the music that I love listening to, which is hip hop and pop for the most part. So that opened up the lane to find a school, like a college for learning more about audio engineering and just the technical aspects of it, as well as giving me like the time and space to be able to just work. Because I think that that's the main like comparable aspect of both of our stories, and for every artist or producer or writer, is that you're gonna fall down time and time again, and you have to keep getting up, and you have to put everything into this. Like the amount of sacrifices that I've made on a personal level during my early years, like when I was in college and when I got out of college and was living in New York, is beyond what most people do. Like you have to put absolutely everything into it. Like there's no, well, I'm gonna figure it out, or like we'll do this and that to make it work. It's just like you kind of have to jump off the cliff and just see if you can fly, and if you fall, you just figure out how to try it again, and you just keep going. And that goes for the way things sound in my productions as well. I have a lot of younger guys and girls that are hitting me up like, you know, what do you use for this, or what drums are those, or can you send me that kick or whatever? And to be honest with you, I use all the same stuff that everybody else uses. Like I use, you know, some Boy Wonder kicks or some Dr. Dre kicks or whatever. It's just like the same packs that everybody has. It's just about sticking with it until your heart tells you that it feels right and it sounds good, and then just being creative, you know?
So here's a question for both of you that I find a lot of young songwriters, new producers will struggle with. You played the demo for Playdate, and then you sort of showed the evolution a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you know when Playdate was done? How did you know when that song was finished?
For me, it's a feeling. It's like it's two feelings, I guess. Actually, it's wow, this feels really good. Like I can get up and walk around my room and dance to it by myself and feel like I'm performing it. That's always a thing for me. Is I just kind of pretend I'm the performer in front of the mirror.
Is air guitar happening in those situations, or
if there's a guitar, then yeah, 100%.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I mean it's a side of me that no one really will see ever. It's a very personal side of me. But then the other side of it is the nerves of sending it to Mel, in this case, of being like, I hope she likes it as much as I do. What about on your side?
Yeah, well, on my side, usually both of us know pretty well. Like you'll send it to me and you'll be like, I could always tell. I feel like you do have that gut instinct, and it's always right. Like there's never been a moment where it has been, you know, like we're mixed matched of like, this is my gut instinct. And I'm like, no, this
especially
is
the
not.
more we do.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of instant. You sent it over and I was like, it totally transformed the song for me. I mean, because for me, all I had to base, you know, the song off of was really just that piano line and my voice the whole time. So he really transformed the song and made it into something completely different, and added all these story elements that really built out the story even further. Like that little like breakdown that you do, you should play those like sounds, like the audio sounds that. Yeah.
So I can touch on that real quick. There's in the session, I kind of color code all of my stuff so that I know where I'm at. All of these
yellow. If you want to break this down kind of slowly so anyone watching can really understand what they're looking at, that would be awesome.
Yeah, let me take this real slow. So within this session, this is everything that makes up Playdate. And I color code things so that pink is vocals, just so that I know where everything is. And if anybody else opens the session, it's easier for them. So the red one is always where everything is going to. That's what we're listening to, what comes out of there. All of these green ones are different, like reverbs, which is like an echo, like kind of make it sound like you're in like a big gymnasium, or little effects like that. And then pink is all of the vocals.
Purple.
Pink or purple. Yeah, I mean, that kind of looks pink here and purple here. But and then Just blue is usually just like main instruments as well as these ones. And then red is always bass for me, which in this case was kind of an 808. And then orange is always all of the drums, which always get bussed to their own drum bus, which, you know, people who work on music know what I mean. But if you don't work on music, this is just basically all of these things come together into this track so that they all glue together really nicely and sound like one unit rather than several different things. And then what we were just talking about now is all of these yellow tracks, which are different kind of like, I don't really know what to call them besides like almost Foley sounds. They're just like sounds from almost that you would expect in like a TV show or something. So I'm going to show.
Are those actually like sounds that, can you play one?
Yeah, I'm going to show a few examples real quick. So here's like just kids laughing, which is in the song. And there's another one here. And I think if you're listening on headphones, you can hear that those are kind of like ones in one ear and ones in the other ear to make this kind of wide sounding thing.
Can you play the part of the song where that laugh is actually used now?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Just give me 1 second because I didn't pull up the drums. So just give me 1 second.
I'm putting you to work. I'm sorry.
No, you should be. But I forgot to open the drums because I don't use Reason anymore. So it's like my muscle memory with that is it left. All right, opening up Reason. But this is good because you get to see Reason too. Reason looks a little bit more intimidating, but it's not.
Melanie, while he's digging this up, I would ask you, because I love these stories, right? This only happens on TikTok where a song is released like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's a perfectly fine release and everyone's happy with it or not. And then all of a sudden, 2-3 years later, you're getting like text and it's like, oh, I'm hearing your song and it's blowing up. What was your experience in that regard?
Really just that. I mean, all my friends were like, hey, Playdate's getting really big on TikTok. And I kind of just, you know, I was like, that's cool. That's really awesome. But I did not expect it to be really resonating with people the way that it is. I actually just thought that it was just some quick like day thing. Like, oh, the day is just, you know, it's just popular today or something. I don't know. I don't really.
But it would kind of pop up and then go.
Yeah. I thought that was gonna happen, but it just kept growing. And I'm just, like I said, I'm super grateful. It was so unexpected for both of us. We were pleasant surprise, really.
Yeah.
When did you first realize that it was not just going to pop up and leave? Was there something that happened that really
my manager was like hitting me up about it, like, okay, hey, like we're gonna have to start making a decision on if, you know, like if we want to really push Playdate again, because people really resonate with it and it's like, you know, it's a great moment. So it kind of, when it went from my friends telling me to then my manager and like the label telling me is kind of when I noticed how serious it was getting. Yeah, I tend to, when
the managers in the label, like the first flag they throw up, I tend to ignore and be like, oh yeah, whatever, dude. Like, don't bring my brain back to 2015, 16. I'm in 2022 already. Like, but then once they're like, hey, like, look at this chart and look at that chart, like the graph is just going up. I'm like, oh.
Again, super surprising, but very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, so you have do you have drums up now?
Yep, everything should be here. So just to review real quick, here's the sounds, the effect sounds that you'll hear in this section. So there's these 2 children tracks that we heard already, plus another classroom sound, and then a bell ringing, a school bell ringing. So now let me play this section for you.
I guess I'm just a playmate to you.
And then also you should do the bridge.
That's so cool because honestly, I mean, I've heard this song 500 times and I don't know that I had consciously picked out the laughter. And now, of course, I'll never hear the song and not hear the laughter. Maybe I'm just not a careful enough listener. Maybe I didn't catch that part, but that's amazing. You guys are muted.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
What I was saying was, yeah, we don't want them to be too upfront and too loud so that they're distracting. But yeah, it's just like a
to
cool.
fill it out, yeah.
Right. It's almost it's like an Easter egg in a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you didn't really know it was there, but you'd miss it if it was, or if it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then when you do know, you're like, oh wow, that's a really cool detail that I don't usually get to hear in songs.
I love that. And again, it's like these little details. As we talk about songwriting, and we're working with young songwriters as part of the After School All-Stars program, what makes a great bridge? Do you think about it as like a sort of distinct part of a song? Some writers love a bridge. Some writers can't stand a bridge.
Controversial topic these days.
I can see that.
Yeah, so like the way I feel about the bridge personally is it's so up and down for me. Sometimes I'll have the bridge so set up and I'll be like, oh, this is definitely the bridge. I already know that this part fits the bridge perfectly. And other times, more likely, I will actually skip the bridge the first day that we write and come back to it, because I feel like the bridge is such a departure for me personally. It's almost like this like other moment for you to like be able to like explore more on what the song is or expand on what the song and the story can be. So sometimes I feel like I have to like be in a different like mindset or perspective to come back to the song to be able to fit that difference of what that bridge should sound like.
Sure.
And that's honestly a lot of the time it was like coming back to the song and then writing the bridge last. So
yeah, I don't think in anything I really work on the bridge happens on the same day as the initial like thought.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I was going to add to that was, you know, like you don't have to be super strict about like,
format,
I have to have.
There has to be a pre-chorus going before, or there has to be a post-chorus. Like, yeah, we don't like.
Whatever works. We go back to what we were saying earlier. How do you know a song's done? Because it feels right. You feel it. It's a gut instinct thing. Because it's important to say it's done and not go any further than that. Like that's part of being good at making a song, is like
being able to know when to stop. Yeah.
So like,
and also having the confidence, I think, and I would love if both of you would maybe comment on this, but the confidence to put music out. All too often folks just work on their songs forever because if they never release it, it can't flop, right? Or because they're anxious about what people are going to think about it, or then you get into Axl Rose territory where 12 years later you get a new release or something like that. Is it hard sometimes to just let go?
You can go first.
I mean, we're working on an EP right now we've been working on since, I don't know, I guess since this time that we've been working on K through 12. So it's like a lot of these songs we wrote during that time, and then also like we wrote new ones too in like the past year or so, and we're still to this day, like when this is over, we're gonna have to talk about the EP songs and talk about what we want to fix and what we want to change. So it's like, you know, you could go forever and ever and continue to add things and continue to take away things, but you don't really know until you have that gut feeling. Like that gut feeling definitely exists, and it definitely tells you, okay, this is done and it's ready, you know? And once you feel that gut feeling, I think it's just a part of being in tune with your intuition, being in tune with what your body is telling you about your art, you know?
I just want to make sure you know, because I have friends there, that Atlantic Records did not tell me to ask you that. Okay, this is not them passive aggressively trying to get you to hand in the EP. That's not what's happening.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But you're laughing because like the truth is always funny, right?
It is.
Right,
it's always
right,
so funny.
right,
it is. Yeah.
Right.
It is.
You know too well.
Yeah.
Mikey, what about you?
Yeah, what I was going to add to that is, you know, part of the experience and growth of getting better at music, like part of that is putting it out, because it changes your perspective on listening to it. Like when something comes out, the first thing we do is go to Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming service and like just listen to it from there, because it's like, I don't know if it really necessarily sounds that different. It's just like, because it's not coming out of my Pro Tools anymore or out of like, you know, my box folder where I'm storing demos, like it just, there's a different feeling, a different perspective. And like, you know, I remember when K through 12, the album came out, we were sitting in a hotel playing it off a Beats pill, and it was like, wow, like it's out, like it's a different feeling. But also something that I like to tell people when they get a little stressed out about quote unquote finishing a song is there is no such thing really as a finished song, because as an artist, you're always growing and you're always like learning new things and stuff. So you have to kind of think of it more as a snapshot in time. Like, you know, because all the songs that I've put out in the past, or you've put out in the past, now, sure, we could probably make them better, but it's because we put them out and we went through everything that goes along with that. And then we did other stuff and experienced other things and just learned new stuff. Like right now for me, I have a new set of speakers that's changing everything for me, because I can hear things differently and it's just making everything improve. But I could have never gotten to these speakers. Even if I did get them earlier, I wouldn't have been able to understand, because I had to go through like problem solving like over and over again to really understand how to make things better. And part of that is songs coming out.
Yeah, it's true.
Hopefully.
So I want to talk about K through 12, because you know you put out a whole movie, which is something that we should definitely talk about.
Yeah.
Before I move on from sort of some of this hardcore songwriting stuff, I just want to ask, number one, well, my first question is, if you had to pick one songwriter or producer, or maybe a couple of songwriters and producers, to tell the students that are watching this, hey, if you really want to study songwriting or you really want to study production, here's someone that I think is really worth your time. Does anyone come to mind that either you used when you were coming up and, you know, or you're using now to continue to teach yourself?
I think it's just about what you like, you know,
Yeah.
learn from everything that you like. There's a reason why you like it,
Yeah.
you know? And
So
like,
instead of just liking it, you can actually pause on it and
Yeah.
kind of pull it apart.
Totally,
right.
yeah. Whatever
right.
your favorite songs are in that moment, like look who made them, and then look at more info if there's interviews or something with those songwriters or producers, and see how they made that song. And you know,
Right. That's
Yeah.
another cool thing, is that you know, that some of the streaming services now offers. You can look at those credits right on the song and be like, oh, like I like this song and this song, and it just so happens that it's, you know, produced by the same person, or, you know, like has just one name in the group that like is common, and you're like, oh, well, like, so maybe I should check out that writer or that producer or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's interesting. You could just kind of see everybody in the process and find out why you like what you like, you know?
yeah.
And you both still do that.
Well,
I do.
you do, yeah.
I do.
I
I'm a
don't-
little jaded. I like can't hear a song without being like, what is that snare?
Yeah, I have like a definitely less like I don't have that same type of ear, because
You're
you're a
not in the box
producer.
as much, yeah.
No, I don't really know actually a lot about any producers or songwriters or anything, but I believe in following your intuition when you're making music and art, and just in life in general. So that's kind of what I base everything off of, is just my intuition.
That's great. I mean, because we have kind of two different paths here, two different
Definitely.
approaches. I'm sure
Yeah.
Mike also uses his intuition all the
Yeah,
time.
1,000%. Yeah,
I do,
he
I
has
do, I
to.
do,
Yeah,
I do,
for
yeah.
But
sure.
at the same time, he's a little bit more of the
Yeah,
technician maybe, and wants to pull everything apart.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Some of our funniest moments is in the beginning of writing a song, because Mel wants to just like flow as much as possible, and I'm
Yeah.
like, where's the construct? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's a great medium
It
to
is.
meet at,
Mhm.
because we you know, I like, she gets very creative, and then I can rein it in just enough, but not too far, you know.
Yeah.
So just to remind folks, you're watching the TikTok and After School All Stars Summer Songwriting Series. We're teaching some great students that are part of the After School All Stars program, all about songwriting, all about production, and these are students in under-resourced communities. So this is a fantastic thing. We're really trying to make sure that these students have a voice and have a clear path forward. I want to transition now into K through 12, because you didn't just put out an album, you put out a whole movie.
Yeah.
So could you share a little bit about why that was important to you?
Yeah, I mean, well, when I made Crybaby, I didn't have the opportunity to make a film, even though that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to just make one large visual that had all the music in it and was just this one piece of, art. And I couldn't do that because I didn't have the opportunity to, because I was a new artist that just signed to the label. And when you sign to a major label for the first time, you're really only given 2 music videos per album cycle. That's like the norm. And so for me, that wasn't enough, obviously, because when I even signed with the label, I I had independently put out Dollhouse, which also I made a music video for with my friends. And then, you know, over time, I just kept wanting to make more music videos for each song, and I kept handing in video treatments. And again, with that, it's like, if anyone also is listening to this and wanting to write music videos or write film or any visual piece, you know, of art, I think it's really important to, again, just like, no matter how you do it, whether it's in your notepad or in a notebook or on your iPad or in Final Draft, and you're learning how to use Final Draft through a YouTube tutorial, you know, which is what I did. There's so many ways that you can put down your idea. Don't be afraid to just put it down and to keep expanding on that idea. I think it's really important to like not be so focused on like doing it correctly or what's technically right, you know, whether you're writing anything really, even music. I think it's important to just write whatever it is that you want to write, and don't be so judgmental or critical of yourself that you end up not continuing that idea or not continuing to make it, because I think our own fear and insecurity can kind of stop us from living out our fullest potential. At least it did for me a lot of the time. So that was the one thing I had to beat, was my own insecurity on writing a script. You know, I didn't know how to write a script, but I knew I was going to do it. And that's kind of, I feel like, the energy for everything that I do. I don't know.
Yeah, that goes back to putting in the 10,000 hours. Like, there's no such thing as being like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as I can't. Like, you got to figure out a way.
Yep.
There's always a way.
I love that, the 10,000 hours idea. We hear about that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's so important that people just put in their time.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
I'm sure you guys each got better and better and better as you kept working at these.
Yep.
Talents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I want to ask you, you know, Mikey and I are sitting here in the dude uniform. We've got our t-shirts on. Aesthetic has clearly been something that's really important to you. Mm-hmm. Why? Like, how does aesthetic shape how you sort of see fans experiencing your music, or experiencing, sort of, not to talk about you in third person, but to talk about you in third person? Melanie Martinez, like what role do the visuals play? Because I'm wondering if there isn't a connection between the movie and your aesthetics in general, and how this all kind of helps bring your music to life.
Yeah, I mean, I think me as a person, like, I have a very specific style, you know, just like everybody has like the clothes that they like wearing. I like wearing specific clothes and dressing a certain way. And I also collect, you know, vintage toys and stuff like that. So my house and my environment and the things that I surround myself with are all, you know, within that same style, and that translates in every part of my music. It's not just like a phase, you know, that I'm going through. It's like, this is my art. This is the stuff that I like, and it translates through my music and my art the way anything really would in my life.
For you, it's all about sort of like your own expression, and that can take place in video and music. Yeah,
exactly.
And Mikey, no disrespect intended to the t-shirt.
No, it's fine. I'm a pretty plain t-shirt kind of guy.
Yeah. My t-shirt is actually the After School All-Stars. It's the Summer Songwriting Academy t-shirt. So normally I'm wearing like absolutely fashion-forward things. I just happen to be wearing them today.
Wait, can we get real quick? You were off screen. Let me see.
Oh, sorry. This is the...
oh, nice.
Cool.
That's cool. Is it like tie-dyed too, kind of?
This is a little bit of a tie-dye, a faint tie-dye.
Yeah. That's a nice shirt.
Yeah.
I would rock that shirt. That's a nice shirt for me.
We'll get you guys. We'll get you both
please.
Summer Songwriting t-shirt.
Please.
I feel good about our chances of getting that to happen. We're going to start to wrap up in a bit. When we look at K through 12, obviously this is an album that really tells a whole story, which is in part why it works so well as a movie. When you were writing it, you talked earlier about how you start off with song titles. Mm-hmm. Was it kind of a similar thing for K through 12, that you sort of had these chapter titles in your mind for this whole story?
Yeah, so the way I kind of just set it up, like, okay, school is the general theme, and now how can I, you know, I guess think of just a million different things that could fit into that category. So just like Crybaby was all like about, you know, childhood and nostalgia. And so it's the same thing. It's like, you just think of titles that would fit within that theme. And so we would just, you know, sit down and just think of literally anything we could think of, just write it down and try things out. And sometimes, you know, we would work on a song and be like, all right, this sounds really cool. Let's keep going with this idea. And the theme doesn't fit it. And it's very clear when that happens. We're just like, this isn't working. There's no real story that's like happening naturally. So then I'll just move on to another title and then just start with that title. And just really, for us, it's like about fitting the theme of the song and the title with the music and making sure that they make sense together and that they're in harmony and not conflicting with each other. Yeah.
And Fire Drill is the new single, which I think you just, I mean, it's off the, sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Fire Drill is the ending credits song on K through 12, which I wanted to put out a long time ago, but it was just, you know, it's like anything with music and stuff, releasing takes time and whatnot. So it's finally out now, which I'm super happy about. But yeah.
And that must have been the decision you made,
yeah.
Right? Like your manager was sort of thinking about, well, do we go back, you know, to Playdate, or do we go forward?
Well, yeah, it was more so like, you know, Playdate is this, it was more like Playdate is doing really well. But I really wanted to put Fire Drill out. So I was kind of holding off on that because of Playdate and whatnot. So I'm happy it's out now, though, because now we can continue to move forward and put out the EP, which we're super excited about.
Oh, yeah.
That's very exciting for us. We've been working on that for a long time now. So what can we expect from the EP? Do you have a little sneak peek for fans or for folks that are too busy? I don't know.
It sounds like maybe you're not sure what we can expect from the EP yet. You're still deciding.
No, yeah. Well, we've decided on the songs. It's just more so about finishing them. Like there's right now the dilemmas that we're having with it is like one of the songs I know for sure that I want to be on the EP, but I'm having trouble with the way that I recorded the first verse. I'm thinking maybe I should recut the vocals on it, you know? So maybe I should change the intro, you know, instrument sounds. Like it's little things like that where we're like, okay, like how can we make this song the best that it could possibly be? You know, given that we're about to put out this EP soon and we want it to be, you know, the very best, and we want to feel proud of the work that we've been working on.
Mike, I feel like you so badly want to hit play on something new.
No, I more actually brought this up so that she could see options of things to talk about if she wanted to, because we have some examples of, you know, songs from K through 12 that, you know, these are more of the original demos. Like before when we were talking about not necessarily needing to be.
Okay, this is something, that's very interesting, actually. Yeah, you're right. So we were talking about this and how, you know, just to give people an idea of how much a song can transform. Like you can have the starting idea of a song and you can write down, you know, what you think it is in that moment, but then you don't like it and you're like, I like this piece, but I don't like this piece. And this is kind of what we mean by like knowing when a song is done. It's like, you just keep going until you feel like it's right. So there are these early versions of songs, like the songs that had original versions that we ended up transforming and working on even more to make them what they are today are Class Fight, Detention, Principal, and Teacher's Pet. And so, for example, Class Fight had, actually maybe do Principal because the production is different, but it's like
there's two of them. Yeah.
Well, okay, so whatever the one was, it the original one, the first one? Yeah. Okay, so Principal, the first version that we ever made was in a hotel room, and it was on the OP one, right? You had your little
the OP one. Yep.
Yeah, we had this little OP one, and we were just like, you know, just trying to figure out how to make a song over little sounds from this thing. And
I love it.
Yeah, and so we wrote this original version of the Principal, and it had the same lyrics and the same kind of flow, but it was completely different vibe as far as like being anywhere near finished. So we'll just play you some of that so you can hear the difference of what it used to be.
Forgive me if I play the wrong one first. I might need to switch it. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see. I think it might be that.
Sneaky, greedy, money seeking, always peeping, fucking creeping, got it on the down low. So you think you always sneaky? What if I had told your mother her son was a cruel motherfucker? It's not just me, it's everybody who thinks that you're fucking ugly when you come and hurt us just so you can get your money.
So it's just like
another version. There's a second one.
Yeah, but not the chorus, the verse of that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
The second one more.
Sneaky, greedy, money seeking. Always peeping, fucking creeping. Got it on the down low. So you think you always sneaky. What if I had told your mother her son was a cruel mother?
Cool.
So that was basically the first version. The last one we played was the first version that we ever had, and that's why you can hear like the melody is so different.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's very stripped down, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, completely
Yeah.
different production.
Yeah, completely
So
different.
you guys seem like you're such a good pair in terms of collaborating. You know, you're finishing each other's sentences in a good way, and that's great. Do you ever have moments where it's not so smooth? Do you ever have moments in the studio where you need to figure out how to work past a disagreement?
I think
Not that
not
often.
really. Yeah.
It's just more like what I was speaking about before, like
Yeah,
like when we're
mhm.
starting new projects and we really want to stretch ourselves.
Yeah.
There will be some duds at the beginning
Yeah.
and some like, you know, because we're stretching. We're
Yeah.
trying to get uncomfortable and
Yeah.
try to find something that we've
We've
never done before.
Yeah.
And then once you like kind of find a place where you're like, you know, on a roll, then it's just easy cheese
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah, but you're right. It is really just mostly me being like kind of indecisive usually, and you wanting to just like get the ball moving on whatever idea. You're like, it doesn't matter, just pick one, you know?
Yeah.
But my brain will just be like, maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do this. I kind of like this voice memo. I kind of
Yeah.
like this. So it's, yeah. But I don't know.
How about writer's block in one way, shape, or form? Do you ever deal with that?
Yeah, writer's block. Yeah, lyrically right now I'm kind of going through like this not too bad of writer's block, but it happens. It definitely happens from time to time, and I think it usually happens right before I get in the groove of making an album, because with Crybaby it was kind of like that, where I did all these different sessions with different people, and it was my first time writing with producers and other writers and stuff, and so I kind of had this, you know, I was like in it all the time, every day, like writing with different people, whatever. And then K through 12, I focused just solely on working with Mikey, and we, you know, we had this whole beginning phase where I didn't know what the theme was. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just knew that I wanted to write music and start writing my next album. So we would just write songs, and then finally, you know, when my brain started to pick up on what, you know, what, where to go next with Crybaby's story, with, you know, school and whatnot, is when we really started to figure out the pieces, and my writer's block kind of disappeared because I started to have a vision for what the album was going to be.
Excellent. And in general, do you either of you have any advice for like
Writer's
young
block?
writers that are dealing
Yeah.
with writer's block? What do you really need to do to get past it?
I think it's really important to just live life, and to just like, sometimes it takes really just being patient with yourself, and knowing that you don't have to finish something in that exact moment on that exact day. Like, you can come back to it, and maybe it'll affect you in a different way that you never expected to, like months later even, you know? So just don't be too hard on yourself, and try doing other things like painting. You know, painting opens up your brain in a different way, where it can help you expand on just, you know, any creative activity really, like, can help, I think, open up.
That's a great advice.
And same thing on production side, you know, it happens, but you get up, you go take a walk, you come back, things sound different.
Yeah.
Like if you go to sleep, the next morning, things sound different. Go listen in your car, you know, listen on headphones, listen in different places. And like, for me now, like Mel was talking about with the balance, you got to be balanced. For me now, I'm pretty strict. I don't really work on the weekends anymore, because I've found that propels my weeks so much more. Like, I'm so much more productive and so much happier working if I give myself those 2 days on the weekend to
Chill.
go get out in nature,
Yeah.
just like be with my dog, whatever. Like, where I have a garden, I'm really into gardening, just being out in there. But yeah, and then on the other hand, it's like, if things are not sounding right, don't ever be attached to anything, and just
Keep
you just
moving.
gotta experiment.
Yeah.
You just gotta try things. Like, a lot, like even I heard Illmind, who's a really big producer that I've always looked up to from back when I first started, and even today as well. And he always said, you have to spend hours and hours and hours just looking through sounds as a producer, because like, you just mess around and then accidents happen, and sometimes those are the best ideas.
So keep yourself grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then find perspective.
Yeah.
Along the lines of this sort of advice and bigger picture advice, maybe, you know, we are talking to some great students from After School All Stars, and I'm sure a lot of other folks, young folks who are interested in careers in the arts. What what broad advice do you have for folks trying to make a name for themselves or trying to get a start? Anything maybe that we haven't touched on that you could share from your personal experiences to keep folks focused and moving ahead?
Embrace the things that make you you. Don't shy away from all the things that you ever got picked on or made fun of for. Use that as your fuel, use that as your fire, use that to create something that could only be made by you.
I love that. Love that. So powerful. And Mikey, anything from your experiences?
I just lost my train of thought. What was it?
Just advice. I mean, even if you think about it as like if you had to go back and tell yourself something when you were a teenager.
Oh, yeah, I remember. So what I was gonna add is just that everyone's story is different. Don't compare yourself to any other. If you're a producer, don't compare yourself to other producers. Yep. There's no such thing as like the ultimate success. Yep. Your story is so different, and like for my version of success is different from many producers' success. And if I sit around and compare what they have in comparison to me, it's not fair. And I don't like it's, you know what I mean? There's no reason to feel one way or the other about it because my story is just completely different.
Yep. And
that's what you have to remember. Like, cause I did that in college a lot where I'd be like, oh, like I need to listen to this producer because there's the hot one right now. And like, I just need to make it sound like them, but that never worked. It's all about just like really following your creative instincts and not comparing yourself to other people.
Don't strive to be someone else. Just strive to be yourself. Yeah.
Follow your vision. And if that takes you to a movie length project for an album, then that's where it's going to take you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to be respectful of your time. You've both been very generous with your insights, very generous with your time. Thank you. I want to thank, of course, I want to thank Danny and Lindsay at TikTok and TikTok Music for putting together this incredible series. I want to thank After School All-Stars, who are doing such great work working with students in under-resourced communities to make sure that they have every opportunity that they deserve. I want to thank my Bandier program because they support me every day and in so many ways. Love the students in the Bandier program at Syracuse University. And mostly Michael Keenan, Melanie Martinez, I really want to thank you both. You've both been so amazing. It's really been inspiring for me. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very, like we said, this is a great opportunity because, you know, we get to give back in any way and give information on what helped us get to where we are. And we're very excited to be a part of this. So thank you.
Yeah, man. I hope everybody likes it and learns something from it. And hopefully I'll share some more sessions on TikTok soon.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to that. And really looking forward to the EP. Can't wait to hear it.
Awesome.
Cool, man.
All right, everyone go check out Fire Drill. I'm sure it's blowing up on TikToks near you right now. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.